Daily Wire's Virginia Cruda reporting that Tina Maria fights back after activists called Child Protective Services to report her Columbus Day tweet, which glad that they said Columbus Day and not Indigenous Peoples, which is just like, it's Columbus Day. The Indigenous people, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything on that day.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
And basically, without reading the entire article, guys, this woman sent a tweet about Columbus Day that some woke idiot got into an online battle with her and eventually called Child Protective Services. And it's not just that they called, it's that CPS has started a file on Tina Maria Ramirez to find out if she's suitable and if it's a safe environment for the child because of a tweet.
Yep. I mean, and the only thing she did was she wished her Twitter followers a happy Columbus Day. That was it. That was all she tweeted.
Yeah, the tweet's right here.
That's
not the first tweet. It's where's the first tweet? Oh man. I saw the first tweet when I was clicking around Twitter. But basically, like, the woke idiots, like, having a black child doesn't make you any less racist. They say the same crap to my wife is white. Her children are obvious. All four of our kids are mixed. No, they don't have the first tweet on here. Here, I can find it though. You keep talking.
I know it was really, like, there was nothing even remotely offensive or threatening about this tweet. It was just basically like a happy Columbus Day. And then this activist saw this, and that was the whole basis for calling Child Protective Services. And, it really made me start thinking, because it used to be how we would argue about policy, like how should the country be run? Like, some people want more government, some people want less government, whatever else. But now we're down to, as constantly about this culture war about how these people can justify being this kind of person. Like, how do you go to sleep at night? How do you sleep at night knowing that you feel good about the fact that you just called Child Protective Services? And if you read in the article, he stayed on hold for this extended period of time, tying up lines where there were truly other people having real problems that CPS needed to address, taking their time and resources just so he could report this woman over a tweet that he didn't like. How do these people sleep at night? How do you justify being that kind of person? Like, were you always this kind of person? Were you always a miserable little troll? Or were you have you ever been happy at some point in time in your life? Like, how do you get from being a normal human being to being that kind of person? And these are the kind of people that we are up against. I mean, and not to bring in a whole other thing, but did you see that that video of Jessica Newell, who went to the March for Life in Washington, D.C., and that woman looked at her, she's trying to have a conversation with these pro-abortion activists, and the woman looked at her and told her that she needed to be raped.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah.
That's very colorful.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so you need to be raped and be forced to carry a baby. And Jessica Newell was like, well, I would carry it to term. And this woman was like,
oh my gosh, I'm so tired of hearing about that. These people first off, that the likelihood of being impregnated through rape is exceedingly rare, rare, especially for all of you people that are triple vaxxed and quadruple vaxxed and whatever. You might not need to worry about it. You might be good on the birth control of it all.
I know. You guys are sterile forever.
When you round up this freaking rape and incest bullcrap, if you round up, you get about 1%, 1.5%. Okay, so no, it's not. Oh no, everyone's out here getting abortions. It's just rape and incest. No, that's not true.
Yeah,
and they're still bringing that up as the main talking point.
I know.
Can the DNC send out some new talking points?
I know. Well, and the thing is, when they talk about, and I didn't mean to completely change the topic from the thing with the lady getting CPS called, because these people are egregious. As the same kind of person that would call, this innocent mother over a tweet would call CPS to have, hopefully with the hope of having their child ripped out of their home, is the same kind of woman that would tell somebody she disagreed with that they deserve to be raped. But they bring up this argument every single time. But when it gets right down to it, when you say, okay, well, if there are exceptions for rape and incest in this piece of legislation, will you change your mind? Will you support it? And they always say no. So it's like, why bring it up? Why bring this up? Because it has absolutely no impact on your view on this. You just want women to be able to go in there, pretend that what is in their womb is not a baby, and have it removed from their womb at any point for any reason, just because they feel like it, just because they want to look good in a bikini, which is something that happens,
Yeah,
for
it's a classic red herring. It's just bull crap.
Yeah.
Well, here's my issue with it. With Ramirez's story. So she had solid recourse. She's a political insider here in the state of Virginia. We have an excellent, team at the top of the state, and the governor and the lieutenant governor and AG Jason Miyares. So she calls up Miyares and says, like, hey, this is what has happened. Like, call your boys. Like, no, this isn't a thing. So that can happen in Virginia there, but in other places, there's no recourse. This happens in Michigan, Wisconsin, California, a lot of these leftist crap holes. Then there's no one to call. There's no one to get help. And it's, the arresting officer, the CPS agent, the judge, the family court judge, like all of these people are these leftist psychos. And you go in and they look like Starbucks baristas with their blue hair and their nose rings. And you can tell that all of them aren't presenting as the gender that they actually are. You don't stand a chance.
Yeah. Well, and as we can see, for another, just to tie it in with the Alex Jones thing.
Tie it in, girl.
Well,
I listened to Alex Jones today.
Huh?
I listened to him today on Steven Crowder's show.
Yeah, I've been meaning to sit down and listen to that. But the judge that he had on his case, wasn't she like tied to Obama in some way? I can't remember.
It was a nightmare. I don't know if she's tied to Obama, but I feel like I watched a little piece of it and she said, basically, what you did and that it was wrong. This is just a formality.
Right.
I'm like, mistrial, boo. You can't be saying that. Like, did you forget you're supposed to be fair and impartial? You're the judge.
Well, and that's just it. They're not fair and impartial anymore. So much of our justice system, just quote unquote justice system, especially in these blue states, when Alex Jones gets assigned this judge, I'll have to look her up because I know there was something, that really just demonstrated her blatant bias. I mean, I honestly think there was some kind of picture with her with blue hair. So they all have like multicolored hair for whatever reason. But there's this bias.
It's in their handbook.
It must be the leftist handbook. There's just a lot of pictures. There's no words because none of them can read. But she had this bias. We knew just from the get-go exactly how she was going to rule this thing, that she had no intention of being impartial. She had no intention of abiding by, any kind of real rule of law. It was all political. It was all to make an example of Alex Jones. And that is what's happening to our quote unquote justice system. So, I mean, like you said, when someone's calling, CPS and, making false reports about child endangerment, there's no recourse. When someone wants to, call the FBI about Marjorie Taylor Greene and fabricate a report about her murdering somebody in her bathroom, there's no repercussion. There's no consequences for these things. It's entirely political.
It's entirely bullcrap is what it is.
That too.
Sarah, you look up these people. So his judge was Barbara Bellis, and it's just all of these soft-handed articles about how great they are and how she owned or slammed, Alex Jones or whatever. And it's because of the Obama appointment ship or
Yeah.
whatever, if it's a Trump judge or a Bush judge or other Bush judge or whatever, then all of the news articles, like how can people not see that the media is so slanted, unbelievably slanted? And, love him or hate him, Donald Trump put the media on blast. He was just like, hey, they do a terrible job. They're fake journalists. They're fake news. They're the enemy of the people. Man. Oh, man. Do you think he's going to come back on Twitter?
No.
Since the Elon Musk thing has gone through?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I don't think he owns a competitor. He's.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I would be very surprised if he does, if he comes back on Twitter again. But, well, I mean, and with the media thing, just kind of reversing back a little bit, it's again back to this justification. I mean, it doesn't matter how many times. I mean, we're hearing now, that the COVID vaccine wasn't tested to actually prevent COVID. This bombshell admission that no, we didn't test it, but nobody is going to apologize for the fact that that's what they were pushing, and not only just pushing that people who didn't get it pretty much didn't deserve to be a part of society. That people that didn't get it, didn't deserve any kind of healthcare, not even just related to being treated for COVID, but they didn't deserve to go in and be treated for cancer or for terminal illnesses or for anything. Like, pretty much ban these people off the island forever for not getting this thing. And people need to realize Fauci freaking knew. He knew that this thing wasn't tested. He knew it wasn't effective. And that they want to start, bringing people to court and to justice and fining them for harmful statements like they did to Alex Jones, like, let's get Fauci out here. Like, this man and Dr. Deborah Birx, bring them both.
Oh, gosh. I hated the first time they marched her out.
Yeah.
She did some of her, so back then I was still, in the classified consulting scene, the cool guy with the cool stuff and the blah, blah, blah. And one of my clients, she was at their building and she did one of her press calls from their building. And all of these, woke feds are like, oh, she's here. Fauci wasn't there, the idiot. Thank goodness. I don't think, his ego just takes up so much of a building anyway. But everyone's like going away from their work and stuff just to basically stand around and dote on her and listen to her speak. And I was just like, kill me now. Like, why is this woman even here? It was basically, if you had walked into that agency at that moment, it was a ghost town, except for like right outside, there was the cafeteria. Then you walk out and there's like some stairs and escalators, like right there. That's where all the people were. But aside from that, if you had walked into an office, it was empty. There were just like 6 conservatives left at our desk actually working, on the taxpayer time. Oh man, she's like a freaking supervillain.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the book that she wrote, I haven't read it. I've only heard excerpts of it where she admits all of the data manipulation that they did to achieve certain outcomes with public policy. Like,
and no one even cares.
And that's just it. Nobody cares. And that's where I think the justification is. These people have been programmed to think that everybody on the right is just such this massive threat that anything the left has to do to silence the right or to stand against the right or disagree with the right is justified. It's a means to an end. It doesn't matter what it is. And I mean, it's like talking to a brick wall. It's like, how can you be okay with this? Because if they can convince you to shut down all of society and to sacrifice the economy and, domestic abuse cases going up and suicide rates going up and all of this harm to society, they can convince you that this is okay. Like, where's your line? Where's your line? Like, you have no line. They can convince you of anything.
So I definitely want to hit on this one last story. We are just about